On behalf of the Adamstown Rosebud Board, it gives me great pleasure to introduce this launch video for the 2021 season. Over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so, you'll hear from a number of our key club personnel. As we all know too well, COVID meant that we did most things very differently last year. We expect that we'll be doing some things differently again this season, but that hopefully many things will go back to near normal this year. However, we'll need to be a bit flexible in the way that we present information to you and organise events. Hence, this season we're launching our season by video for the very first time. To those of you who are returning to the Rosebuds in 2021, welcome back, and I hope your expectations for the season ahead will be met. And to those of you who are joining the Rosebuds for the very first time, a huge welcome. You've joined a club that is one of the oldest in the country, but also one that proudly promotes its youth. We expect that Adamstown Rosebud will most likely have the youngest collective senior squad in Newcastle NPL, with many of these players having come through our youth squads here at Adamstown. Interestingly, many other clubs see this as one of our weaknesses, but we absolutely see this as one of our strengths. There is something special about being associated with a club that has played at the same home ground for over 130 years. Everybody who makes a contribution to the club is helping to create history. Everybody who is watching this video will hopefully be able to contribute in some way to the club this year, either on the pitch as a player, or off the pitch as a coach, or behind the scenes in helping with all those seen and the unseen aspects of making a club like this function effectively. This is an area in which we can never have too many people, so if you'd like to get more involved in the running of this club, then please let me know. Firstly, I'd like to welcome Dave Rosewarne as our new head coach in 2021. This will be Dave's first year as a first grade coach, but he does have extensive experience in senior and youth coaching, many of which with the Buds. You'll be hearing from Dave in a few minutes. I'd also like to welcome back Chris Dale as our technical director, a position he vacated a few years ago to make way for Dave. Chris has a long history with our club as a player, a coach, a TD, a board member, and more recently a parent of Hamish in the JDL squads. Chris will also be saying a few words later in this video. And you'll also hear from Andrew Liccardo. Andrew has taken over the reins of our sponsorship program, as well as youth football coordinator and the coach of the under-14s. Andrew is a former club president, and in his spare time, he's also serving as vice president this year. The JDL program is the rebranded SAP program from last season, but we now have teams in the 9s, 10s, 11s and 12s, which will feed directly into our NPL youth program in 2022. I welcome Chad Lawrence into the JDL coaching coordinator role this year. Chad brings immense experience in the primary school physical education sector, so this position in our club is tailor-made for Chad. And I also welcome our new and old coaches and team managers and the vast network of people who have volunteered to take on key roles in the club. Many of these behind the scenes. Now, I don't want to list all the names here for fear of leaving out somebody, but I do need to acknowledge Michelle Jones, who has been managing our canteen for several years and spends hours of her own time cleaning, ordering and sourcing food and drinks before each match day weekend. So welcome back, Michelle. Our sponsors are an important part of our club, and I'd like to thank all of you for your continued support. Our major sponsors in 2021 include the Queen's Wharf Hotel, Avid Project Management, Hunter Law, Forsyth Financial Advisors, Kappa Australia, Shed Boss, the McCloy Group and Regent Street Physiotherapy. Andrew is still exploring sponsorship opportunities for players, teams and major sponsorships, so if you know anybody who would like to associate with the Buds, then please encourage them to contact Andrew ASAP. I'm also very excited to announce our partnership with Headspace in 2021. We're keen to explore ways in which we can develop strategies to build and maintain the psychological strength of our players and coaches. We see this relationship with Headspace as one that will evolve over time, and Headspace are looking forward to working with our club. Adamstown Rosebud aspires to be one of the most successful, respected and inclusive football clubs in Newcastle. The club of choice that consistently sets the benchmark on and off the field. Success for us is measured in so many ways. Yes, the results are important, but for our club it is also about the journey and not just the destination, and the type of journey that we choose to take. And I'm sure that Chris, Dave and Andrew will elaborate on this when they say a few words shortly. Our club values include collaborative effort, mutual respect, hard work and discipline. And these values apply to our players, our coaches, our managers and our club officials. We don't take anything for granted or anyone for granted. The more that we can build these values into everything we do within the club, the more likely it is that we'll be able to meet and exceed our aspirations. But most importantly, we need to keep things in perspective. We're a football club, and the only reason we exist is to provide opportunities for local footballers to develop their skills, to be challenged, but importantly, to have fun in the process. Talking to many of our repeat players and families, and also to some of the new people to the club, there is a great sense of excitement about the future. Now it's time for the Adamstown Rosebud Football Club to again make our people proud, and for the Rosebud faithful to don the green and red and to unite behind our club. Have a terrific season.
So the club has a real focus on ensuring that the boys do have a good experience. Obviously our mantra from the 13s through the 16s is development, so that kids can grow into playing in the senior squads. But on top of that, it's not just about players becoming good footballers, it's about players being able to use the skills and the attributes and the values that they develop here at this club in their everyday lives. So, we're very excited about the opportunity to be able to help the boys in their endeavours beyond football. And so, all the coaches, all the committee, we're all committed to ensuring that happens. We need your help to make that happen. So it's not going to come down to one coach or one person that's going to be able to do that on their own. It's a holistic club approach, and that includes all members of our club, players, parents, coaches, committee members, sponsors, whoever it may be. You're very valued members of the club, and we certainly appreciate your input.
"2021 is looking to be one of the more challenging but just as exciting years of football in my 5 years at Adamstown Rosebud FC as I step into the head coach's role. Adamstown, at its core, is a club that strives to help our players become the best version of themselves, not just as footballers, but, I believe more importantly, as young men. For those of you who are new to the club, you will hear this almost as a mantra from those that have been with the club for some time. For me, and I would suggest that this rings true with other long-term members of the club, this is what excites me about being a part of this club. Why we can spend up to 7 days a week working on club tasks, training, match days, session planning, ground setup, clothing orders, etc., etc. Why we turn up year after year. We want to see these young boys become young men who can contribute to our club, but, as you'll hear repeatedly, to contribute to society as fine young men. We as a club strive to build resilience, as there will always be setbacks, injuries, illnesses, growth spurts, periods of losing games, etc. Football, life, is not meant to be easy. Easy is not a fundamental for growth. To grow, we must be challenged. To be successfully challenged, we must fail. Failure is not a bad thing. Too many people, too much in society believes this. To grow, we must fail. Failure is not a bad thing. It is how we understand where we're at and what we need to do to improve. Can we go forward yet? Do we need to hold? Do we need to go backwards and reinforce? To grow, we need time. Patience is the key. Patience from players, from coaches, and most importantly, from parents. So let's not panic if our team loses on the weekend. Let's not panic if they lose a number of games and do not win the under-13s minor premiership. If they do, happy days. But if it was easy for them, then we'll be looking to make it harder in the subsequent year to challenge and to grow our young footballers. We, as a club, focus on long-term targets, not the short-term rewards. This will ultimately result in the young men who we want coming through our club, who we hope will then positively contribute to the greater community, who will understand that life is not meant to be easy, but with perseverance, with patience, with hard work, then you can achieve. This, I believe, is what sets Adamstown Rosebud FC apart from other clubs. Perhaps other clubs spruik this, but I know in my time at Adamstown, and as we continue to progress into future years, the club, the board, the coaching staff, the players generally, and the parents that have been with us for a number of years truly do believe in this and invest in it. This patience, over the time that I've been at the club, is now starting to bear fruit. There's a large majority of our senior squad, which is 18s, reserve grade and first grade, being made up of players who spent most of their youth development with the club. We have in our 18s, there's very limited. There's one boy who's going to be turning 18. The rest are 16 and 17-year-olds. This is a positive. This is not about trying to win the 18s comp. That is something that is it's an outcome that is desirable, but it's not the end game. It's about blooding these guys into the senior football. It is about bringing them in early so they can give them time to change, to grow, to adapt. We're starting to blood 17 and 18-year-olds into our first team. This has been happening over the last few years and will continue to do so. Some may say that this is due to circumstances such as budgets or not being able to attract players. Maybe. But this is how it can happen, and this is how it should be done at clubs. Why spend time developing a youth program when all you will do at a first grade level is go and try and chase the same handful of players and rotate them around the clubs? What for? Maybe to win a championship? Yeah, maybe. It doesn't really work. So we want to be patient. We wanted to continue to build on the foundation set in the youth development program and really start to build our senior program with those players that have been at our club, that understand what we're about, that understand that patience is a virtue, that we are planning for the long term. To add to what we've been doing in terms of the wanting to build not just good young or develop young footballers, but develop good young men. There's some exciting new developments coming in 2021, where the club is looking to partner with health and wellbeing providers to structure the likes of nutrition and wellness programs that will complement our physical football programs. Boys that are physically strong will need good fuel. They need to understand what goes into the body and how that can affect them for match days, for training, for recovery, how that can improve both their physical and mental aptitude in games and outside of games. That's ultra important for them to understand. It extends beyond just the footballing. And wellness programs. Our boys now, I guess, range from 9s through to, well, not quite 39s, but we have a great raft. We want to, and they go through a lot of changes during that period of time. We want to as a football club, as a club that has a lot of contact time, minimum 4 days a week, with these young men, is to assist them where we can, or at least like we do with football, try to provide some tools, resources, skill sets to assist with their wellness. This is exciting to me. This to me is starting to build the Swiss Army knife of things that are just beyond being a football club. That's what excites me, and that's what I think sets Adamstown Rosebud apart from other clubs. For 2021, our senior squads have commenced pre-season training, and we're well underway with trial games. Whilst there was quite a turnover in players for first grade, our recruitment has progressed well, and we are now settled into a group that is working hard. We are working hard as a coaching group to understand our players' individual strengths, their weaknesses, and how we can best adapt these to the style of football we would like to play. What is the most pleasing to date is to see the effort, the intensity, the aptitude at training. All players at training, they're all driving each other. They're all striving to be better. There's not one person amongst them that is shirking their responsibilities or walking away from trying to do the hard work. There's a great desire to understand the systems for a number of the newer players that haven't been as part of our club. They have to adapt quickly. But they're doing that. They want to do that. It is exciting to have a group that wants to learn, that wants to work hard, that wants to go out there and show other clubs that they can play. So what can you expect to see? I would hope that, or any one of my teams at any age group, but particularly now as a senior squad, that they've got to be willing to work hard. They need to be able to run for the 90 minutes. They need to be disciplined. That discipline requires both mental and physical aptitude. They need to be difficult to break down. We have to have a desire to get numbers around the ball and be brave enough to play. So these are the things that we're working on. We want to work hard on our ability to adapt to the football problems that are provided by opposition teams. Just because we want to play a certain way doesn't mean the opposition is going to let us do that. So how do we adapt? How do we build football intelligence? Where are they causing us problems, and where can we cause them problems? We want the ball. We want to play with the ball. We want to be adventurous when we go forward. We want to cause overloads across the park, and at times this will cause us problems. We'll concede silly goals. We'll concede goals where it stems more often from our turnover than from an opposition causing us the problems in the first place. The one thing we are looking to ensure is that irrespective of the result, the opposition team will, when the ref blows time at 90 minutes, be thankful that the game's over, because we will go and go and go, irrespective of result, for the 90 minutes. So it's an exciting group of players, and there's a good core there. We need to give them time to grow, mature, and then over the next 2 to 3 years, you'll see a team that's very capable and very exciting. And the end game is to both win games, but have supporters from both home and away teams wanting to come and watch this team play. So 2021 is the first step in that, and it's exciting. And I hope all of you well for the season that is coming, and hopefully it is a one that is a lot simpler to get through than 2020 and is exciting, and we'll see you on the football pitch.